yeah, shalom alaikum. Listen, once again, this is the Master Teacher coming at you live in living color with 2,400 watts of power in this hour. Yes, I am sitting in the captain's seat for the Lord, the apostle, the prophet. Listen, who's out on location today. But again, listen, it is an awesome time, and I'm excited about this truth session. We're getting ready to talk about some things. We're going to kind of do a spin-off on what the apostle has talked about. He was talking about fact and matter, and listen, we are going to delve right into that same area. We're going to talk about that today. The one said, fact is truth, and truth is a matter of fact. And so what I'm going to be dealing with today is, as a matter of fact, it's about the classification of matter. And we're going to talk about some things. So I want to say, Shalom Alaikum, Assalamu Alaikum, Inhotep, Abaragani, Amani Kaka, Amani Dada, Bonjour, Hola, Konnichiwa. Yes, we're about to get it on long and strong today. And listen, I want you to start out right now. Hit that share button. Let's share this information. It behooves us to send it out. And let us know where you're hailing from. We want to know where this information is going and also where it's launching from. Listen, we want to cast a wide net. And today, listen, with excitement, we're going to deliver this information. We're going to receive information. And as I bring this information forth today, I want you to be reminded of all of the truth sessions that we've talked about trauma. We've talked about quantum mechanics. We've talked about fact and a matter of fact. And listen, it's time for us to connect those dots and bring all those things together. Listen, the one walked the floor. Listen, he walked up and down the floor. He brought some powerful information. So listen, I want to encourage you and admonish you to go back and listen to those sessions, part 1 and part 2. I'm telling you, it's mind-blowing. And you can tell that the one just really sat and meditated upon it. He delved deep. He went deep to under the substructure to find out what you and I needed to be thinking about, what we need to be meditating about. And so today I am going to make a connection with what he was talking about. And I'm telling you, this information is powerful. It's mind-blowing. Well, how do we connect these dots, and how do those things come into play, and how do we make reference to it here and there? Well, listen, when you sit in meditation and when you go within yourself, and this is a powerful, important time for you to go within yourself and find out who you are, what you're capable of, where we're going in this hour, even as a people, how powerful we are. And when we come together, when we join ourselves together, listen, we're something magnetic, something magnificent, something beautiful. Don't let anybody tell you, human and human, that you're not who you are, that you're not the best part of Erect or this earth. You are the best part. We make up this earth. We cause it to go around. We cause it to flourish. We cause it to flow. We do it. But leave it to others. We have no part in it. Listen, you can't bamboozle me. You can't confuse me. You can't trick me into believing that I'm not an important part of what's going on in the scheme of things. You can't do that. Why? Because when I joined and connected myself with the one, he brought out those very powerful truths and said, listen, this is who you are. This is where you came from. This is where you're going. And the only person can stop you is you. And see, I spoke to me and said, you're not going to stop me from going where I need to go. It's a powerful thing when you can step out of yourself and speak to yourself and say to yourself, you won't hinder me, self. Why? Because I've tapped into my higher self and won't let my lower self get in the way. When that happens, there's a big ball of confusion, but I remain in control. I remain in authority. I remain in that place of high definition where I can see clearly as to who I am. And listen, let me go ahead and get myself together and see who's on the timeline here. Once again, I'm telling you, hit that share button, put those emojis out there. Listen, they play a major part in what we're doing as well. the expressions, the emotions, as the one talked about. E is equal to MC squared. Emotions, come on, causing things to move. All right, let's see who we got here on the timeline. Oh, Elder Gibbs, shalom, shalom. Welcome. All is well and it just got better, Elder Gibbs. Sister Jazzy Michelle in the house, shalom. Very own Sister Rhonda Moore, welcome, shalom. Brother Hank Swenson in the house on today. Yes, Cynthia Ford Clark. Hello, hello, welcome. You know our very own Sister KD Hall in the house. Yes, we'll be bringing forth that nectar of KD a little bit later on. All right, let's see who else in the house. Oh, Sister Nellie B. Wright in the house. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Listen, if you see those, go ahead and call those out. Of course, I'm down into the wards account, and there may be a slight delay. So if I don't call your name right away, listen, charge it. Well, don't even charge it to my head and on my heart. Charge it to technology. All right. Who else we have in the house?
Tracy Love.
Oh, Sister Tracy Love in the house. Shalom. Always good to see you. All right, as this timeline continue to move right along and update, listen, we'll recognize you. And listen, I want to say, as always, we never take your Saturdays for granted. Never lightly. We understand the importance of time. We understand the importance of making use of our time. We don't waste time. We embrace it. It's not our friend, it's not our enemy. We embrace it. We advance through it so that we can get the necessary things done that have already been pre-deposited. We can advance and pass on to that place where it's already pre-deposited so that we may manifest it, so that we may encounter it. It has already taken place. It's up to us to recall what took place in eternity past. And I like how the one says this: the mind never forgets. It just fails to recall. Never forgets. It just fails to recall where we filed it away. So we're going to recall some things today. We're going to titillate and touch on some areas that's housed within us and also on the outside of us. We're going to talk about some things. All right, once again, this is the master teacher, the son of the one who's on location today. I'm sitting in the captain's seat, and we are getting ready to launch this information. Here we go. All right, once again, the one talked about something very powerful. He said, fact is truth, and truth is a matter of fact. Once again, go back and listen to part 1 and part 2, and it's going to really enlighten you. I mean, it's really going to bring you up to speed and take you to a place, man, where you can just flow through the information. And not only that, flow through your own lives, because he's giving us some information that's taking us from point A to point Z. And what I like about him, he'll bring you back to point A and take you back through it again. And so you've got to get the information so that you understand how to function in mainstream society. Because listen, society and the theater out there, they tend to give you a way of living. And so if you bite, if you dial into that and plug into that and begin to operate in it, listen, it'll take you astray. It'll cause you to be stressed out. I'm telling you, it'll give you a different vantage point than the one that you already have. Now watch this. I want to go back to part 2 of fact is truth and truth is a matter of fact, put forth by the one. Watch this. He said our stress levels are up and it's turning off our immune system. And excuse me, this was part 1. He said our bodies are in tune with the universe. Listen to this. Our bodies are going to build our genetics. Our bodies automatically make adjustments. The environment dictates what our bodies are going to do, how our genetics are going to build themselves, how our genetics are going to respond in our environment. So if there is something foreign coming into our environment and we haven't been introduced to it, that our bodies don't know how to react to it. That's very powerful. So now we see that COVID-19 has entered into our environment. And if we have not been introduced to the information, we don't know how to react to it. And so he talked about that. Man, that's very powerful. So our stress levels are up. And what it's doing is turning off our immune system. The one said that. Not only that, he says that our bodies are connected to the universe. So we're connected to it, and what it's doing, it's building our genetics. They automatically, watch this, our bodies automatically make the adjustments because we're connected to everything. But you have to understand what's happening in the scheme of things, what the masses are doing, how they're stoking fear, how they're causing us to conform to it. We're going to bring out some things here. Now, let's talk about the characteristics or the classification or the states of matter. So it plays a part in the universe. It plays a part in our own lives, in our own being, internally. Watch this. Matter. Definition and the 5 states of matter. Now, we generally only talk about 3 of the states, but there's more than 15 different states of matter. But we're going to talk about 5 of them. We're going to talk about the 3, then we're going to introduce 2 more. So let me put this information here on a timeline, and we're going to go through it. How's everybody doing out there? Give me a second as this updates here. All right, here we go. Thumbs up, give me the thumbs up if you can see that. You will see this information listed under the teacher will appear.
You got the one in Brother Craig never entered into.
Yes, I've just been informed by Sister KD that the one, the apostle, the prophet, has entered the room. Shalom, apostle. The intuitive one, Brother Craig Levitt, in the house. Thank you, Sister KD. All right, watch this. Man, powerful information. Watch what it says here. By Mary Bagley from Live Science, livescience.com. It says, matter is the stuff that makes up the universe. Everything that takes up space and has mass is matter. So you know the one that's talked about this. So it's the stuff. It's everything that takes up space and has mass is considered matter. Now, it says all matter is made up of atoms, which are in turn made up of protons, neutrons, and electrons. Now, of course, incidentally, on last broadcast, the one talked about that. The electrons, the protons, the neutrons. Listen, I won't go back into that dissertation, Go back and listen to that, man. I'm telling you, powerful, powerful stuff. So again, the atoms are made up of neutrons, electrons, and protons. Now, watch this. Keep in mind, we're talking about matter. And we're talking about the classification or the states of matter. Now, it says here, atoms come together to form molecules, which are the building blocks for all types of matter, according to Washington State University. Both atoms and molecules are held together by a form of potential energy called chemical energy. Unlike kinetic energy, which is the energy of an object in motion, potential energy is the energy stored in an object. Now, look at this. It says, atoms come together to form molecules, which are the building blocks of all types of matter. Both atoms and molecules are held together by a form of potential energy called chemical energy. Now, let's look at this. The brains are made up of what?
Chemicals.
Chemicals and what?
Electricity.
Electricity. That's right. So, chemicals and electricity. So, we chemically inclined, electrically inclined. Now, watch this. We are within ourselves atoms, right?
Yes.
So the sacred text talking about atom. You know, one talked about that. Atom, not atom, but atom, right? So we are all building blocks of what? Atoms. But watch this. Atoms come together to form molecules. So now look what's happening with COVID-19. You have all these powerful human and women atoms that they're saying stay away from one another. Oh, wait a minute, but it says atoms come together to form molecules, which are the building blocks for all types of matter. So now as we come together, we form all types of matter. Our molecules connect. So now they're saying stay home. Stay away from your families. The only proximity you need to be in is within yourself. 6 feet away from those who live in a house with you. Man, that's nonsense. And again, the one talked about how we need to be in one another's proximity and how things develop. Again, I won't go into that, but it's tying into what I'm talking about. So now these atoms, these powerful atoms, these molecules coming together to form all forms of matter. But yet, we're told to stay home. Don't go out. Stop the spread of COVID-19. Stay home. Wow. That's a contradictory to what? What we just talked about as form of atoms coming together and molecules. So if we stay away, what do? We don't allow the building blocks to come together. We don't allow all matter to form. Watch this. Now, unlike kinetic energy, which is the energy of an object in motion, potential energy is the energy stored in what? An object. So potential, energy of motion, kinetic, that's stored energy. Now, let's talk about the 5 states of matter. Let me put this out here on the timeline so that all may see it. I like that sound. I like that sound. Give me a second here. Looks like the computer want to do what it wants to do. All right, here we go. The 5 states of matter. Here we go. All right, I'm going to put them on the timeline. I'll go ahead and put the 5 states out here, then we'll go back so you'll see a large post, but then I'll go back and individually post them so that you can see them as well. All right, once again, this is coming from livescience.com from Mary Bagley. Come on, hit me with those emojis if you can see that information posted again. For those of you who might be just dialing in, it's going to be under the teacher will appear. Again, if you're in for the first time, please let us know where you're hailing from. All right, watch this. Now, again, there are, we're going to talk about 5 of the different matters, the state of matters that are out here in the universe. Watch this. It says here, the 4 natural states of matter: solids, liquid, gases, and what? Plasma, right? Plasma. The 5th state is the man-made Bose-Einstein condensates. So now, you don't hear much about the plasma and the condensates, but it's all around us. Watch this. Let's talk about the first one. Let's talk about the solids. Can you all see that information out there? You all see that posted?
Yes.
Okay. All right, good. All right, let's talk about the solids. Now, I'm going somewhere with this information. So you have to understand we're dealing with solids, gases, liquids, 2 areas, out there and in here. So let's talk about this. In a solid, particles are packed tightly together so they don't move much. The electrons of each atom are constantly in motion. So the atoms have small vibration, but they are fixed in their position. Because of this, particles in a solid have very low kinetic energy. So now, we see that within this particular state, the solid state, the electrons or the particles are compacted. They're closely knit together, right? So you have to see where I'm going with this. So now, again, because of this situation, what are they telling us? Stay away. Separate. But here, as a solid, we're compacted, right? We're community. We're compacted. Wait a minute. I know some of y'all know this. We used to greet one another. What's going on, man? How's everything? Man, everything is solid, right? Everything is solid. So now that means everything is on the up and up. Everything is cool. Everything is good. All is well. So now you have to see that if this particular situation we're dealing with is causing us to separate, to detach from one another, how can we be a solid? Especially in our community, the last thing we need to do is separate. So the masses, this situation is causing us to separate, not to stay in tune, not in touch with one another. So now we're not, or what we should be doing is reaching out to family members, staying close, keeping things within a certain proximity. I don't mean maybe just in the same room, but solid can be in a different location. Forsake not the assembling of yourself, doesn't mean in the same room, same building, same atmosphere. We can still be solid, and you can be across town, another state. All right? Now, look at this. Solids have a definite shape as well as mass and volume, and do not conform, to the shape of the container in which they are placed. Wait a minute. So now we're in this arena, this theater, and they've placed a certain shape before us, saying, eat certain foods, you can only go certain places, you can only talk to certain people within a certain proximity. What are they doing? They're putting a container in front of us and say, be conformed to it. Oh, wait a minute. Solids have a definite shape as well as mass and volume, and do what? Do not conform to the shape of the container which is placed. Oh, wow. So we're placed in this container, but we're not shaped and molded by it. And we have to understand that, listen, whatever shape or whatever I need to transform or transfigurate into, that's what I need to do to survive, to get to the next level of who I am, so that I don't be conformed to this shape, to this box, to this cylindrical situation that they've placed us in. Watch this. Solids have a high density, meaning that the particles are tightly packed together. So now let's look at solids here. We're dealing with mass, volume, density. You can take those three words and rearrange them and make an equation out of it. Density, let me write this up here. All right? Density. Density is equal to mass divided by volume. It's mass divided by volume. So now we take the mass of an object, divide it or ration or parcel it out by its volume, we'll get the level of density associated with it. So now you can take the masses, the human, the masses. We cover a certain volume. Certain things are not going to happen unless we come in the volume of that book. So we divide it, mass by volume, we're going to get density. So oftentimes you see us in a dense populated area, a dense area. And what we have not done is come together in that dense populated area so that we can cover the masses, so that we can be the volume, so we can take up space or capacity. Because this situation is trying to affect what? Our solid, us being a solid. I'm going to get to something also regarding a solid that's on the inside of us. Watch this. Now, let me get to the next one. Liquid. In a liquid, the particles are more loosely packed than in a solid and are able to flow around each other. Giving the liquid an indefinite shape. Wow. Therefore, the liquid will conform to the shape of its container. Much like solids, liquids, most of which have a lower density than solids, are incredibly difficult to compress. You have to see this. So you and I are solids and also liquids. Watch this. So it's saying with liquids that liquids, the particles in a liquid, the particles are more loosely packed than in solid and are able to flow around each other. So what do we have the ability to do? Flow around each other. Each one of us have a gift. Each one of us have something that we're supposed to bring forth. And this truth session is causing all of our gifts to come out. We operate in our harvest, in our gifts, and we still flow around one another. The one will say, listen, if you have a business, put it out on the timeline. Let's patronize one another. FUBU, for us, by us. That's us acting as a liquid and flowing around one another, flowing with one another. Not too rigid that we can't operate in the same space. Can't flow. There's no flow. You have to see that this situation is trying to keep us from flowing. Just think about it. You can look at some of the posts that you see on Facebook, out of the media. It's trying to keep us from flowing. Who are they targeting? The human and woman. Trying to keep us from flowing. It's time to wake up. But watch this. I like this part. It says that much like solids, liquids are incredibly difficult to compress. In other words, when we're in our liquid state, listen, you can't hold us down. You can't compress us. You can't contain us. Listen, water or liquid will take the least path of what? Resistance. So now when you try to contain water, it'll find a way to seep out. Well, first of all, you have to look at even the toughest, the most densely packed concrete still is porous, still have holes in it. Well, how was that? Well, think about it. How many times have you walked on the sidewalk and you saw flowers or weeds growing up through concrete? Still porous. Everything is in vibration. Everything has holes in it. So now you see plants and flowers and grass coming up through concrete. They're still tiny, tiny microscopic holes in the most dense solid. Wow. Let's go to something else. Let's go to gas. I promise you, I'm going somewhere with this. Let me hit gases and I'm going to check the timeline again here. Keep in mind, we're talking about, as a matter of fact, it's about the classification, or I can say the state of matter. So now we're dealing with a matter of fact, matter becoming fact. Matter, fact, energy, all that interrelated. We can also dial in volume and what? Density, because it has become a part of our volume, our mass. They're all interrelated. Look at this. And I know this has, wow. Let me check this real quickly. Yes, Sister Rhonda Moore says, be not conformed. There it is. Sacred text teaches us that. Be not conformed. All right. The one saying impress Jazz, let's get at it. Yes. She said on it. Sister Jazz says on it. All right. All right, let me repost the one about gas real quickly. Update. So let me go ahead and I'll read this. It is, like I said, it is on the timeline. I posted it just a few minutes ago. Watch this. Gases. In a gas, the particles have a great deal of space between them and have kinetic energy. A gas has no definite shape or volume. That sounds like us. Watch this. If unconfined, the particle of gas will spread out indefinitely. You hear that? So, as a gas, if we're not confined, we have the ability to spread out. The ability to enlarge in ourselves. The ability to become magnified and magnetized. So, now, you have to see that the masses are saying, no, don't spread out. Stay confined. But watch what happens when it's confined. If confined, the gas will expand to fill its container. What do you think happens when gas expands in a smaller container? It becomes highly volatile. If heated, it could what? Explode. So now you're taking some highly volatile people and say, stay within a confined space. And all they're doing is spreading out. Listen, we're spreading out and getting larger and larger. The energy is so magnetic and powerful, and we're spreading out. We have to enlarge in ourselves. We can't stay in a confined location. So now this COVID-19 is putting us in a place where, listen, they say we have to stay within a confined space. But we understand exactly what's happening. I'm not saying do something really foolish, but we understand the magnitude of what's happening. And therefore being in a confined space, in a restricted space, causes stress, causes anxiety, causes fear. And fear does what? Compromise or shut down our immune system. So we see a lot of us going to the hospital because something's happening internally. It's just stress and fear. It's the confusion in our atmosphere, in our environment that's trying to get in our solid, liquid, and gas. That's all it's doing. Watch this. So when a gas is put, watch this. When a gas is put under pressure, by reducing the volume of the container, the space between particles is reduced and the gas is compressed. So that's the last thing you need to do, is to compress it to the point where now those molecules are becoming so tight, that you're creating a Molotov cocktail. You're about to blow up some things. So you can see that being in that space, things get kind of cramped. You've just got to step away for just a second. Listen, I've been dealing with my students and they've been talking about how this pressure and this stress is getting to them and how they've got to step away from it. And see, it behooves our parents. It behooves the teachers to understand that it's not just for us to put information out there and say, listen, I've created my lesson plan. I'm done. Now you got to go out and get it. These children are stressed out. Why? Because they've been placed in an environment, as the one said, as I quoted, that's unfamiliar to them. So they don't know how to react to it. And so sometimes we get set in our own ways, or we get in the way and say, okay, listen, I've created lessons for all 5 days, Boom, I'm done. So if you don't go and get the information and do it yourself, that's on you. You can't treat them like that. You don't understand what a child is dealing with after being placed in an uncomfortable, unfamiliar situation. And so now each one of us are trying to give them a week's worth of work, but yet it's going to take 2 to 3 hours to complete each assignment every day from every teacher. Something's wrong with that. So what have I been doing? I've been taking the least path of resistance for my students. I've been reducing the amount of information. I've been making it easy for them to find it. Not only that, I give them the opportunity to redo it if they don't like the score. If you don't like this score, how you perform, redo it. What am I doing? Causing redundancy. As they continue to see it, they build a foundation, they're building information. And so you have to use strategies to get them out of that stressful environment because it's doing something. Watch this. I promise you I'm going somewhere. Watch this. Let's talk a little bit about the plasma state, and then I'm going to switch to something real quickly and just show how it relates to the body. All right. The one says we're leveling it up because the friends are donating along with the family. Yes, indeed. All right. See if I can switch over here. Second here, let me take a quick station identification break. Yes, indeed, everyone, the nectar of Sister KD in the house. Having a few connectivity issues, but we'll get through this. Listen, I'm going to read this off to you as this is updating, and I'll make sure I go back and put this information on the timeline. All right, so I won't prolong the time here. But again, we're talking about now the aspect of gas, and let's transition over to plasma real quickly. Plasma is that fourth state of matter. And it says plasma is not a common state of matter here on Earth, but it may be the most common state of the matter in the universe, according to the Jefferson Laboratory. Stars are essentially superheated balls of plasma. Plasma consists of highly charged particles with the extremely high kinetic energy. Watch this. The noble gases, helium, neon, argon, krypton, xenon, and radon are often used to make glowing signs by using electricity to ionize them to the plasma state. So now think about that. Look around us. How does it make you feel? We go certain places and you see like the amusement parks and various stores that's advertising. Man, it does something to you when you see the neon lights flashing. The advertisement, it draws you into that place and make you want to purchase certain things and be a part of it. Well, if we're told not to enter into that plasma state, it's affecting us. We don't understand how much because we have not been introduced to the material like that. So not being a part of that neon state, that lighted position, that lighted atmosphere affects us mentally and internally. But watch this. It says the Bose-Einstein condensate, which is that next state, was created by the scientists, says using a combination, all right, of laser and magnets. But let me do something real quickly. It says, so within this plasma state, there are what? The 5 or the 6 noble gases. So we're going to talk about that for a second here. But let me switch and add in, I want to add in something regarding the different states that we operate in. So now, let me put this out here on the timeline from an engine search for Google. And we're going to talk about real quickly the various states that are on the inside of us. That's page 8 at the bottom of my notes. And as it's switching over, I'm going to place it on the timeline, but I'll be reading it. All right. In fact, here we go. All right, when you see that, go ahead and give me those thumbs up. Watch what it says here. 60% of the body is made of water. In some reports, they may say 70%, depending on what the situation is. But it says, in one report, 60% of an adult's body is made up of water, which means that the human body would be at least 60% what? Liquid. Oh, so that's one of the states of matter. So now within us, the ability to flow, which means we should be what? Making sure we're consuming the right amount of liquids, of fluids, drinking our waters, the different types of waters. So now with this situation, look at what's happening. You go to the stores and the masses are purchasing all the water, just being inordinate. There's nothing on the shelves, and they're letting it sit up and waste. But here, we're made up of mostly water, so we're supposed to be consuming that. The one talked about that, getting the right amount of fluids and staying hydrated. Watch this. Another 15% of the body is made of bones, which is mostly what? Solids. So now we see the liquid state and the solid state. So now what happens if we don't get the right nourishment, the right calcium, the different minerals and different foods to strengthen our bones? They become brittle, right?
Yes.
We can dehydrate if we don't get the right liquids. Right. So here are 2 states already being affected by COVID-19. By keeping the social distance to the place where we've become inordinate in our actions and in our ability to function in mainstream society. Watch this. The other 25% would be mostly made up of a combination of different substances in different states of matter. What are we talking about? Gas. So now, there are gases on the inside of us. Gases. So the stress level causes toxins to be released in our body, which alters the natural gases that we cover. Watch this. During this time, we even have people that are overeating because they're stressed out. Watch what overeating does. Our stomachs are highly acidic, full of acid. What are they used for? They break down our foods. When you overeat, it causes the acids to thin out, to dissipate. So now you're having digestive problems because the acid now is starting to wear away, starting to dissipate or dematerialize. Why? Because of the stress, because of the anxiety, because of the fear. Binge eating. Why? Because of this situation. I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. I don't know what's going to happen next week. Financially, I'm stressed out. I'm experiencing financial insecurities. So now what do? We binge eat, diluting the acid in our stomachs. So now you can see how all three states have been affected by COVID-19. And if we don't understand and download the information, we'll fall victim to it ourselves. And so all those are separate states, but yet one. And so now I'm going to show you something, man, that's very powerful, that's trying to happen to us when it comes to the condensation state, if that's really relating to perspiration. So now if we don't get out to perspire, to sweat, let some of that salt itself arise, it can affect our health if we don't get the exercise in, right? So now, let's see how water and plasma kind of connect. All right, let's go real quickly. Talk about something here. And listen, what I'm getting ready to show you, I'm not trying to proselytize anyone. Again, as we always say, listen, we're already saved. You can save yourself. Every time you need saving, you can save yourself. So I'm not trying to preach to anyone. I'm using this as a launching pad and showing you the symbolism and the connections. So now I want to place Luke. I'm going to go somewhere real quickly. Luke 22, 40, and 44. All right? Check this timeline. Sister Rhonda Moore says, boredom also causes overeating. Absolutely. All right. Connie Love in the house. Said, hello, everyone. Shalom, shalom. All right. Come on, hit that share button once again. Let's hit that share button. Place those emojis, the likes, the hearts. Hit that care. Come on, hit that care emoji, the laughing emojis. All right. If you can see that, come on and give me those emojis once again. Give me the thumbs up. All right, I'm going to read through this. This is Lucas. He was a Hebrew, commonly referred to as Luke. Watch this. Lucas 22, 40 through 44. Watch what it says. And when he was at the place, he said unto them, pray that ye not enter into temptation. So now, what am I saying to you? Don't enter into what? Temptation. Into that place where you conformed. You've conformed to what mainstream society has been saying, has laid out before you, the container that they've placed you around so that you can get in and build a structure when you're supposed to be flowing and don't take definite shape. So don't enter into temptation. Watch this. And he was withdrawn from them about a stone's throw or a stone's cast, and kneeled down and prayed, saying, Abba, or Father, if thou be willing, remove this cup from me. Nevertheless, not my will, but thine be done. 43. And there appeared a malachim or angel unto him from heaven, or Shamayim, strengthening him. Watch this. And being in agony, he prayed more earnestly. Talking about Yahushua. And his sweat was as it were drops of blood falling to the ground. Let me read that again. And being in agony, he prayed more earnestly, and his sweat was as it were drops of blood falling down to the ground. Watch this. I'm going to show you something here. I'm going to put a term up here, and we're going to talk about this. So he was in agony. All right, look at this. Here are two terms. Basically, they are the same term, spelled differently, but they're actually the same term, same meaning. So we have hematidrosis or hematihydrosis. Now, watch this. I researched it, it blew me away. Let's look at the first part of this. Hema or hemo. Look at the second part. We have hematihydrosis. Hema meaning blood. Hema meaning blood. Hydrosis meaning water. Oh, wow. So here's a medical term called hematihydrosis. Again, hema or hemo, as in hemoglobin, meaning blood, plasma, hydro or hydrosis, meaning water. So here are two states combined. Watch this. Let me put this out here. Man, this blew me away. Place this information on the timeline. Wow. So it's a medical term called hematihydrosis. I'm almost about done with you here. I want to get this portion of it on the timeline. Man, this is very powerful. All right. Now we're talking about hematidrosis or hematihydrosis. Again, hemo meaning blood, or hema meaning blood, hydrosis meaning water. Watch this. Wow. It turns up throughout history. Here it says Jesus, but it's Yahushua, was said to have been sweating blood before his execution. The artist Leonardo da Vinci wrote about a soldier who had bloody sweat after battle. Watch this. Hematidrosis or hematihydrosis is a very rare medical condition that causes you to ooze or sweat blood from your skin when you're not cut or injured. Oh my goodness. Wow. So hematihydrosis, combining two states, liquid, plasma. So this is a place where you are so stressed out, so full of fear, that instead of sweating fluid, you're actually sweating blood. It says that the Messiah, being in agony, that sweat was dropping from him like it was blood falling to the ground. So what he did was, because of the agony, because of the fear, because of the stress, the anxiety, his system was disrupted. And it caused him to sweat blood rather than fluid. And I began to look up this information. Man, that's a medical term called hematihydrosis. So now we have blood and water, not as if as it talks about when the Messiah was pierced in the side, forth came blood and water. No, this is blood coming through sweat glands. Oh my goodness. That's stress. That's a level of stress. Watch this. My goodness. It says only a handful of hematidrosis cases were confirmed in medical studies in the 20th century. So this is such a rare thing that you don't see it happening much. But now the atmosphere has become conducive for it, that you may see more cases of it. Why? Because of the COVID-19 stress and anxiety, worry, fear. So now the stress is so heavy, the pressure is so heavy that it's causing you to sweat blood rather than sweat regular liquid or fluid coming through your pores. Man, that's heavy. Watch this. I got one more piece for you. It's under what happens. It's going to tie right into what the one has been talking about. Let me put that last piece. Apologize for the slight delay. Of course, my computer's trying to take on a mind of its own.
Yeah.
sake of time, I'll go ahead and read the information, and then I'll go ahead and place on the timeline as it updates here. Now, we just talked about. All right, go here. All right. You should see that here in a minute. There it is. Okay. All right. In this segment, it says what happens. So watch this. Doctors know exactly what triggers, or don't know exactly what triggers hematidrosis or hematidrosis. In part because it's so rare. Watch this. They think it could be related to the body's fight and flight response. Oh my goodness, let me say that one more time. They think it could be related to the body's fight and flight response. Wow. What did the one talk about last week? He talked about the fight and flight response. In a highly stressful situation, what happens? Your blood flow to what? The extremities. So now because of the extremities, the stress, the fear, the anxiety, the worry, now you've introduced hematidrosis. So medically now you're sweating blood. Oh, so something has happened to your internal system. You've crossed over. Vessels things are starting to move, shift, break, split. There's things happening inside of you, inside of your makeup, in order for you to sweat blood. Two different ducts, two different areas, crossing over, and blood coming through the sweat glands. Man, that's powerful. Why? You've entered into the flight and fight mode. And so now this situation has become so fluid that every time we turn on the television set, what do we see? COVID-19, the number of cases have gone up. 15,000 people have died here. 17,000 have died over here. Someone went to the hospital over here. You got 15 over here. You got 11 over here. Yeah, I just made up a number. Because they're making up numbers. You've got 35 over here, 45 over here. All of a sudden just popping up everywhere. Right. Stoking fear. So now people are operating in trepidation, fear, anxiety. Man, it's at an all-time high. They're constantly putting it in our eye gates. Why? So that we can be mixed up. So that our solids can become unglued. So that we can be conformed. So that we don't have the ability to float. So that our plasma don't line up. It crosses over into liquid form. Oh. So that the natural gases that we possess become polluted. They're telling us to keep the masks on. Wear the masks. The natural gas that we breathe out and then replenish with ambient air. We're regurgitating that gas that we're supposed to be expelling. We're regurgitating it, wondering why we're getting sick. Why do you think they build air handlers and air conditioning units and package units and have an outside air component? Some of them are called air handlers. The ability to handle air, the ability to handle ambient temperature, the ability to utilize makeup air to replenish that which you're missing. You can't pull in makeup air into your system if your face is covered. It won't happen. What am I saying to you? We've got various states that operate on the outside of us. Solid, liquid, gas that we naturally hold. Condensation, perspiration, plasma, blood plasma. We house those things. It's being affected by outside stimuli. We talked about the different gases, the noble gases. Krypton, the xenon, argon. Very powerful. They're noble gases. In uremia. In our sacred text, uremia. Wow. Let me and I'm going to get you out of here. 2:21. Watch what it says. Yet I had planted thee a noble vine, wholly a right seed. How art thou become a degenerate plant of a strange vine unto me. The word noble vine, or the phrase noble vine, is the Hebrew word sorek. Wow. Watch what it means. It means choices. It means worthy of being chosen, excellent, superior, carefully selected, preferred above others, worthy of being chosen, of high quality. Wait a minute, I do recall the one talking about that. I have planted thee a noble vine. In other words, we hold noble gases. A noble vine, holy and right seed, how art thou become a degenerate plant of a strange vine unto me. I planted you, human and woman. Excellent. You're the choicest. You're the fattest. Preferred above others. Of high quality. Oh, wow. Worthy of being chosen. Superior. Listen, don't let this situation cause you not to be noble. Cause you not to be superior. Cause you not to be preferred above others. Cause you not to be the choicest, the fattest. I want the fattest part. I want the leftovers. I want the fattest part. I'm high quality. I'm worthy to be chosen in any situation. Listen, as a matter of fact, it's about the classification or the state of matter, as a matter of fact. Listen, I hope this information that was released into your hearing today and into your eye gates stimulated you and caused you to see some things and hear some things that you didn't know that you can connect and put together with what we've been talking about all along. Let me check this timeline here real quickly and
talk about that air conditioning unit, how it works.
someone said the one. Okay. Listen, the one said we're talking about this. Talk about the air conditioning unit. We have air conditioning units or packaged units where it has all of its supply and return components. And so what we do is we send out in one portion of this packaged unit, it'll have a supply where it would send out air, and then it has another portion with a fan that actually returns the air. So within an air conditioning system in any high-rise building, any office, any air conditioning system that have been placed in a home, you will see the vents, but you may not see the air conditioning system itself. Sometimes it's in a mechanical room. Sometimes they have packaged systems that are above ceiling that you don't see, called levered units. Certain carrier levered units that may be above ceiling, depending on how large or how small. So it may be in an interstitial space, or it may be in a mechanical room. Or sometimes you may have them maybe inside of a garage, or they may have a packaged unit outside on what's called a curb, on a concrete slab. So what it does, it causes air to be forced into various locations. But watch the beauty of this. These systems are designed where each particular room gets a certain amount of air based on its location. So based on its location, whether it's north, south, east, or west, requires a certain amount of air. So when we design it within, say, 15 feet from an exterior wall where there's a lot of sun coming through, you may get a different portion of air than it may be in an interior space. So we design and put the exterior on a different system, on a separate system with a separate VAV or digital box, variable air volume box. You either have pneumatics, pneuma or spirit, or VAV, a variable air volume box where it automatically controls the air. Now, it also has a return. What am I saying to you? When we send out information, there's always a return. There's always evidence. There's always a connection to what we're saying because the entire system is connected. That's why it's called a package unit. Air goes out, it returns to the system. goes in, boom, it draws back in. And then when there's spaces where there's bathroom facilities, that's a totally different system, totally different exhaust fan, which means now we're pulling in makeup air because oftentimes it pulls air from a different space. So we have makeup air units for that. Now, you run into problems when you design a space when there is no return. So how's the air getting back to the system? If I'm supplying, say, 1,000 CFMs, air flowing through my space, I want to return 1,000. I'm supplying it out, I'm returning it. So if I'm in a room that does not have a return grill, it's got all supply, guess what? You can cause static pressure in your system because it has no way of getting back to the system and recirculating. So now your air conditioning system can shut down. And I've witnessed that because I've worked in that engineering field before where clients were trying to take the least path of resistance, be cheap. And their system shut down because instead of providing a complete air conditioning system, what they did was just put an exhaust fan and try to transfer the air out. You can't do that when you have high volume equipment, expensive equipment that's running your system. You need an air conditioning system. That's what we do here. This situation is hot right now. We're providing cooling. We're providing some cooling to you. We're providing air conditioning to you. Not only that, what's happening is we're getting returns from it. As you donate, that's a return. As you dial in and place information on the timeline, that's a return. We continue to financially support us, that's a return. We're returning to this system. And anytime there's a stagnation, we know how to bring some makeup air in. We know how to adjust. So that's a complete packaged air system. A complete air system. Listen, let me check one more time if we have anything on this timeline. All right, my system is okay. Do y'all see anybody, anything? Okay, let me see. Can you read that? I can't. Okay. All right. Thank you, the teacher. The teacher will appear. The teacher was my mother. Watch this. My mother was so stressed out at one point many years ago and experienced the same symptoms you described. Thank you for bringing understanding. The doctors could not explain it. I'm very grateful for you. Gratitude, gratitude. Thank you, Sister KD. Thank you, Sister Love, for that powerful comment. Yes, it's a situation called hematidrosis. It's the level of stress. That's what it is. Yes, input, output. Thank you, Sister Rhonda Moore.
As a matter of fact.
Amazing vocals. That's Sister Jazzy. Sister Jazzy Michelle saying to musical artist, the JP said, yes, indeed.
As a matter of fact.
Sister Ronald said, because regardless of what they go to the hospital for, it's called COVID-19. Exactly. Yes, indeed. The one, the apostle, the prophet, master teacher, you spit that fire. Gratitude, gratitude, the one. Sister Rhonda Moore said, make it plain, master teacher. Listen, gratitude to all that send those encouraging words. We appreciate your love. We appreciate your energy. We appreciate your time. We had an awesome time today. And listen, before we get out of here, please go ahead one more time for me. Hit that share button. Hit that share button. Put the emojis back on the timeline. I want to go out with the emojis, the thumbs, the hearts, the caring emoji, the laughing emoji. Put the wow emoji as well. Because listen, it blew me away as well. Wow. And listen. This one ought to hold you once again until the one comes back in your hearing. And he often says, listen, hold what you got. Muse over it. Cogitate upon it. Oh my goodness. And by all means, come on everybody. Why don't you govern yourselves accordingly with this information? And until next time, Shalom Aleichem, Mishpikah.